If you missed your favorite show or interview, visit episodes on our website at theworldtoday.news. Our live shows are also on X, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, and Twitch. Now there really is no reason to miss out on anything on theworldtoday.news.
For The World Today, this is James O'Neill. A YouGov poll found 71% of Britons believe Prime Minister Keir Starmer's government is mishandling immigration and asylum, with even 56% of Labour voters agreeing. Just 1% said the government is doing very well. Immigration was ranked the country's most important issue at 37%, far ahead of the economy and health. Nigel Farage's Reform UK was seen as best positioned to tackle the crisis, while Conservatives scored only 6%. Labour elder David Blunkett warns Starmer to take radical action or risk permanently losing public trust as disapproval ratings surge. New Ministry of Justice data shows convictions of migrants for sexual offences in Britain have risen over 60% since 2021, outpacing the increase among UK citizens. Migrants accounted for 14.1% of all sex crime convictions in 2024. Convictions surged particularly among groups often linked to channel crossings, such as Afghans, Sudanese, and Syrians, who collectively saw a 110% rise. Indians had the highest convictions in raw numbers, followed by Romanians and Poles. Critics, including Reform UK's Nigel Farage, demand stricter immigration controls as protests against migrant housing intensify following incidents of sexual violence. California's high-speed rail project, already decades behind schedule and vastly over budget, now needs $1 billion annually from the state legislature to survive after President Trump withdrew $4 billion in federal funds. Once projected to cost $33 billion and finish by 2020, the project now exceeds $100 billion and won't link Los Angeles and San Francisco until at least 2038. Construction remains limited to the Central Valley, where demand is low. Critics, including federal officials, call the plan a waste of money, while Governor Gavin Newsom has shifted positions multiple times on its future. The Trump administration warned California, Washington, and New Mexico they risk losing millions in federal transportation funds if they fail to enforce new English language requirements for truck drivers. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy cited a fatal Florida crash caused by a driver who couldn't read road signs, exposing enforcement lapses. California, Washington, and New Mexico face potential losses of $30 million, $10 million, and $7 million, respectively. Federal officials stressed road safety, with trucking groups backing the crackdown. Worker visas for foreign truck drivers have also been paused. Cracker Barrel's rebranding controversy began with CEO Julie Phelps-Messino's 2024 Strategic Transformation Plan, which replaced the iconic Man and Barrel logo with a modern text design. Major investor Sardar Biglari repeatedly warned that the board was pursuing obvious folly and destroying shareholder value, but his calls for a turnaround were ignored. After costly remodels and a focus on diversity initiatives, stock values fell sharply. When the rebrand launched in August 2025, critics said it stripped away the chain's heritage. Investor backlash has grown, with Steak and Shake mocking the new look, and Biglari's warnings now appearing prophetic. Taiwan deported Japanese national Hiroyuki Tanaka after he filmed a TikTok video in Taipei declaring Taiwan belongs to China while holding a Chinese flag. Another Japanese man, Ira Todomi, left voluntarily and was banned from re-entry. Authorities said the act violated Taiwan's Immigration Act by threatening national interests and public order. Tanaka later defended Beijing's One China principle online, backing reunification by force. Analysts noted the stunt was aimed at boosting traffic on Chinese platforms. Taiwan reaffirmed that it rejects Beijing's sovereignty claims despite CCP propaganda. Reform UK's Nigel Farage has unveiled his plans for mass deportations of illegal migrants.
Then I fear deeply that anger will grow. In fact, I think there is now, as a result of this, a genuine threat to public order, and that is the very last thing that we want.
This has been James O'Neill for The World Today.
If you missed your favorite show or interview, visit episodes on our website at theworldtoday.news. Now there really is no reason to miss out on anything on theworldtoday.news.
And a very good afternoon, or wherever you are, if it's morning, evening, whatever. In New York, it's almost way past your bedtime. In California, well, it's the afternoon, because James O'Neill, our news guy, is lazing by the pool, because he's got a very nice backyard, a big pool that works. And on the Gold Coast, or on the Sunshine Coast, which Cam is also lazing by the pool. Unfortunately, it's not his pool or his house, but we won't tell them. Sorry, little joke there. More serious things. 6 days ago, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sends a letter to Anthony Albanese, warning him to resolve the anti-Semitism crisis in Australia by 23rd of September 2025. And today, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese blames Iran for the anti-Semitic attacks in Australia. Cam, could you play Iran, please?
Australia has made a rare decision to expel Iran's ambassador after accusing Iran of organizing 2 anti-Semitic arson attacks in the country. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese stated on Tuesday that substantial evidence has been gathered indicating that Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps used proxy networks to coordinate 2 firebombing attacks in Australia. One attack occurred at a synagogue in Melbourne in December, and the other targeted a kosher cafe in Sydney. Australian intelligence has confirmed that encrypted transfers and links to organized crime were aimed at concealing Iran's involvement in these incidents. In response, Australia has officially designated the IRGC as a terrorist organization, suspended operations at its embassy in Tehran, and recalled its diplomats from Iran. Additionally, Iran's ambassador and 3 other officials have been given 7 days to leave Australia. It's the first time Australia has expelled an ambassador since World War II. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry has strongly rejected the accusations, and Jewish community leaders have expressed relief at the Australian government's actions.
So there you are. That's what's and lately also for those overseas. Overnight, the Iran embassy, everybody left. They've all gone, shut shop. But it's interesting that Bibi Netanyahu requests that things be sorted by a particular date, and in the meantime, we find that they have been doing all sorts of naughty things, creating all sorts of unease between communities, and have been booted out. I probably agree with part of that, I think. But it is interesting that Bibi sends a letter to Albanese. I thought they didn't like each other. Be a mongrel, something like that anyway. We're going to be talking about Porepunkah, and we're going to be talking about crime in Victoria and childcare. Victoria, in my opinion, is a basket case. And the spin these politicians put on just about anything, including the Porepunkah murders of those policemen. 2 detectives were killed, and also one has been wounded. And I would imagine, having been the son of a policeman and having a lot of police people friends, that they would have been heavily armed, along with the guy that shot them. So we'll delve into that and see if the old saying, never let a crisis go to waste. And if you look at the BBC with their reporting, for example, they've been, it's something's not quite right here. Maybe Harry Hatzikalimnios, he's a retired detective, 23 years in the service. Highlights include his work as a senior detective with the Federal Police, 5 years at the New South Wales Independent Commission Against Corruption, investigating corruption within government sectors and covert operations. Just wondering whether that should continue, because I don't think government becomes clean all of a sudden. Harry, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me, Mike.
Tell me a lot of things to talk about. There's something seem not quite right at the moment. I mean, it's not right because 2 policemen have been killed in the line of duty. They were heavily armed police, I would imagine, because you're going out to a guy who has a record, and he's a fairly unsavory, would seem to be an unsavory person. But the reporting and the frenzy around this, something about it doesn't seem quite right. Can you do you feel the same way, or is it just me?
Yeah, look, I feel like that about a lot of things that the government and the media the mainstream media, are reporting on or not reporting on. There's a lot of irregularities, or there's a lot of inconsistencies, or can I say similarities, actually, is the word I'm looking for, to what happened in Queensland with that teacher. And there was there was a shootout there. Police turned up there and were shot. And I said that back at the time. There was a breach of duty of care. They should have gone in. Normally, and they said they weren't known, but they were known. So when you have the circumstances, you should be going in there with the tactical team and whatever, because you're going into a situation potentially that could be life-threatening and endangering not only the police officers, the people that you're going to want to interdict with, and also the public. Now, this to me seems to have started in the same sort of vein, where the police have gone out there. All of a sudden, there's two police dead and one injured, and my condolences go out to the police. And look, no one wants anyone to die. Life is precious, and the universal laws do no harm. Now, what we need here is, it looks like the Victorian police have not learnt anything from what happened in Queensland. I don't think even the Queensland QPS they may have had a full inquiry, but I don't know if anyone's been, or any procedures have changed, because to me that looks like it looks like negligence or malfeasance at a minimum, or possibly even criminal, sending young constables with minimal experience into a dangerous situation. If you look at the social media, what's coming out now is that this individual had long-standing interactions with police and the courts, because there were certain issues that's long-standing. And if that's the case, we want to know why. You need to look into why this was allowed to happen, because this should never have happened. If this was the case, we should have ended up with the individual that shot the police dead. If the situation was attacked correctly. And what I mean by that is, if the threat assessment and all that was done, there should have been the tactical team there to do that, and not just uniformed police or detectives. That's my thoughts on it at this stage. And we do need to get the government and the police to come clean and tell us what's actually going on. I mean, we've just had something happen on Monday with Four Corners. We've had the ABC do a story on this sort of topic, and now we have this a few days later. We've had that in Queensland, so there's a lot, and we've had the Prime Minister on the news last night saying that these sort of individuals are a threat or whatever. We don't know who they are. We've got no background, and very minimal information is being released. So it's not good at all, really. And like I said, trust in government, the media, and police is torched after what we've been through with the lockdowns and COVID-19, and yet that still hasn't been addressed either. Well, we've had Queensland politicians refusing to front a Royal Commission, and no politician from Labor or Liberal here in Australia wants to know about it. They just want to sweep it under the rug and not have it looked into, because I'm sure there's plenty to be looked at and plenty to be found as far as what went on and what didn't go on.
Yeah, I just find this very interesting because, and you are right, they should have had, to have three detectives, one retiring, was going to retire next week. And and I sort of know the area, I sort of know how, you got smaller police stations, and police stations covering larger areas. So you could imagine they would have been a bit relaxed about, not relaxed, but three of us will be fine. The blame, I suppose, if you're looking for, the blame lies entirely at the feet of this fellow that killed these policemen and wounded the other one. But the decision to send out three detectives, one about to retire, without any other support, knowing full well that this guy is volatile, to say the least, surely that would lay the blame there, or the decision would lie with command.
No, exactly, and like I said earlier, what happened in Queensland, all police all around Australia should have learned from that. Yeah. And bearing in mind the profile and the past interactions with police, this person's taken the police to court many times. Apparently on social media, He's won several cases, some he hasn't. Apparently, they just took supposedly or allegedly, they took his licence off him. So there's been quite a few, and this has been going on for years, if what is being said in the independent media is correct. And we need to get to the bottom of it. So if that's the case, the blame solely lays with management as to why. Like I said, in my day when I was doing operations, if someone was at high risk, we would go in there with the technical team. They would go in there and secure the premises. Then you can come in and talk to the individual. I want to know why this didn't happen in this instance, because there's plenty of information there that this was a high risk situation and potentially could end up being very badly. And unfortunately, that's what's transpired. So the blame solely lays with command, police, and the government, and we need answers.
Yeah, we have his family involved, and the guy is heavily armed. So if there's going to be a stoush of some sort, unless they, he will lose in the end. But the number of casualties or people affected will be, I would imagine, could be in fairly large numbers. And it gets back to the decision that was made initially. The decision was to send 3 detectives in. Truly, that smacks, I won't say incompetence, because it's very easy to attack. And like all police forces, 99.9% of them are very good people. And I know how good the Victorian Police Force can be, and also know how bad they can be too. And that's just from interaction with my father, who was an ex-copper, and he had a long stoush. He won in the end, and all was good at the end. But yeah, these people they're just people, and you get some bad eggs. The reporting, though, again, never let a good crisis go to waste. The reporting and the comments from politicians, slippery, slimy, and I've been told never to say slugs again because it's offensive to slugs, but they are looking for that. Yeah, how can we use this terrible situation to an advantage, and to start, throwing in the COVID thing and the almost a cooker thing, as they say, sovereign citizen, these conspiracies, documented posts, all this sort of stuff. And this is where, because you're a detective, something doesn't make sense. We have a number of events happening at the moment, and there's something not quite right. And this thing doesn't seem right. Even the reporting of it and the comments from politicians, the chief commissioner, when he was in a terrible situation. 2 things. Why didn't they go? Because we were friends of commissioners, and my dad was very good friends of many chief commissioners. Why wouldn't they go with a Victorian, first of all? Because there's some very good members there. And secondly, this guy, he spoke for 15, 20 minutes. And I don't know if he said a whole lot in that 15, 20 minutes. It was very stilted. I wasn't impressed at all. What's your thoughts? You would have seen the press conference, or media conference, and you would have seen the reporting from the media, and you would have seen and heard some of the comments from some of the politicians. As a detective, your shackles would be up. Because that's what policemen do, detectives do. They know. You sort of know. My dad always said, never argue with a copper, because we know. And I mean, you would know something's not quite right here. The same thing with COVID. They'll say, oh, here they go again, talking about COVID. But that wasn't right either. And so what's your gut feeling about this? Because it's worrying, because 2 coppers have been killed.
Yeah, look, not only anyone that's a police officer or an investigator, but the public should use their critical thinking and think about it, and not just take what they're being told as verbatim, and do some research. It's very difficult without all the facts, and it's early days. I think at this point in time, the police should be saying as little as possible until the thorough investigation. But everyone's coming out with politicians and like I said, using this opportunity to try and ram through some more legislation for who knows what. And we've just had that with the the misinformation bill didn't get up last year, but now they're bringing this. If you're under 16, you've got to identify yourself, which is basically a backdoor to getting everyone to identify themselves on the internet. So this is unfortunately what they do. If they don't, like I said, they never use a crisis, never use a crisis to get away, whether it's to benefit them or to try and get something through. And my full sympathy goes out to the families of the officers, because I know every day they go out there, there's a danger. There are a lot of good people out there, but there's a danger. But we really need a full independent inquiry into what's a full investigation. Then we need that looked at independently. And unfortunately, investigating police has never been a good outcome and has never led to the facts. So we really need to get to the bottom of this, and we need everyone just to step back. And unfortunately, it's a bit hard with social media, but there is a lot of information out there. There should be balanced reporting, and the reporters out there, the mainstream media, should be going out and checking those sources and getting the information. So making sure the government and the police, the politicians, and those investigating do a proper and thorough investigations till we get to the bottom of it. Now, my understanding is that there's information there that apparently that they were going there for because there was some old sexual assault charges or something like that. Apparently his children on social media, there's reports there from people that they know him or close to him or were whatever, and the children are safe and whatever, but they've been trying to take the children off him because he was homeschooling. So, there's all this in the mix, and we need to know exactly what's happening. We need to know the background. We need to know what led up to this. So we need to know what actually happened on the day and what's being done since then, so we can actually get a real, true account. So people can actually look at it and make up their own minds instead of listening to politicians who we know, have got no credibility. Albanese's 33%. Liberal know better because they've gone Labor light. So unfortunately, we've got no representation here. And I think a lot of people have got a cost of living crisis. A lot of people are feeling lost. A lot of people are feeling disheartened. There are a lot of people that are depressed. They've got psychological issues, and all this is doing is just adding to the whole mix. And if that's what the government and the establishment, the Bureau want to happen, well, I think they're doing a very good job. But I'm hoping that that's not the case, and that they actually care for the people, and we need some answers.
I just find when I feel terrible with those poor detectives.
Yeah.
And that one who's about to retire, but it doesn't matter whether you're about to retire or your first day in the job, and it's happened to both spectrums. But it's just very, very sad, and at no way are we attacking the Victorian Police Force at all. In fact, they have our entire support, and whatever we could do, we can't do a thing here, but we will do our best, and we're not going to throw anything at because it's not the time.
No, it's not.
But Victoria itself, Harry, you must be. I sort of know how you would think, because my dad was he was a very good detective, and we had all these friends. So I had no friends when I grew up because he knew all my friends' background. So it was a terrible time of my life, but it made me a better person. How to get by without friends, but the Victoria itself must be. It must distress you in some ways when you see the violence, you see the replies from the government, their solutions. I just want to play this clip, if you don't mind. It only goes for about 20 seconds, and then I'll come back to what I want to ask you next. Cam, can you play bins?
These bins cost $13 million. That's $325,000 a bin.
What?
So, as you say, I don't think there's too many criminals that are, on one hand, going into somebody's home in the middle of the night with a machete is going to, on their way home, drop the machete into a police station, into one of these bins. It's a crazy idea. It's, again, a government that has no idea in terms of managing the crime crisis that we're experiencing in Victoria.
So there you are. That's in Victoria, they have this, like in many states, probably all states, and even on the Gold Coast, where you enjoy your the beach, and I've seen you running on the beach, looking just magnificent with your surfboard. Maybe not, but the machetes is a chosen weapon, And it's from a particular, generally, I mean, I'm not being racist here at all, but it's from a particular group of people. And so what the Victorian government has done is that we're going to have these bins, and we want you to put these machetes in the bins. Now the bins, 325,000 each from a Visy. I believe Dan Andrews works for Visy, or has a business relationship with them, which is ironical that, and it's a coincidence too, obviously, that they've gone to Dan Andrews' company and got his company, which is Visy, to make these bins at $325,000 each. And of course, they would be magnificent bins for that money. I don't understand how you could pay $325,000, but again, this is just a token gesture, because as the guy said, after robbing a place, they're not going to just drop the machete in the bin and go, I'm a much better person. And the other day at Point Cook, or in near Werribee, that part of the world in Melbourne, these three guys were, two guys and a girl were staying at this B&B. It was attacked by a group of guys carrying machetes after they were told they're not supposed to be carrying machetes, and there was blood and guts and everything like that. How do we fix this problem? Is it, first of all, start with the politicians, to tell the politicians, butt out of the police force and tell the police force, police, and don't worry about the politics?
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I mean, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and I went to school. There was the cane. There was discipline. I think this whole concept that you've got to be everything to everyone. You end up being nothing to no one. And now we're in this situation where we've got people coming in here that don't share our values. They don't want to share our values. And then you've got the police being told they can't do this or can't do that. Then they get to court, and the courts let these people go. Look, machetes, guns, and that don't kill people. People kill people. So you ban the machete, they're going to find something else. So that's not a solution. I think that's just a band-aid to make the politicians look like they're doing something. And I think whoever's advising them, I think they need to get some better advice. They need to get some people. And I think the problem with politicians and their advisors is that, as we saw through COVID and the lockdowns, they all kept their jobs. They all kept getting paid. They're in a bubble, and they don't understand. They haven't really worked and had to struggle, run a business or do anything. Where I've worked in the government sector, and I've also had businesses for about 15 years. So I understand the dynamics, and running a business, I came across these sort of things where, unfortunately, from time to time, you got people that wanted to do you harm, and you had to deal with it. And the thing is, my parents came here in '59, and we kept our culture, but we assimilated, and that's a big problem. I think what's happening over in America, where they're sending the criminals back to where they came from, I think is a good starting point.
And also with the National Guard, which does raise many issues.
Well, we're that close. Yeah, we're that close from total civil breakdown because there's not enough police. Queensland police, I know all the police are stretched because the DVOs. Because what happened in Queensland, domestic violence is taking up most of the time, so you can't get police. And the whole thing, unfortunately, the whole system's at breaking point, and I think it's either got to be fixed, because if it doesn't get fixed, they're going to have to be forced to do something about it, and unfortunately, it's going to get really bad. And as you can see in Victoria, it's just getting from bad to worse. There was that kid that got off on a murder charge, and next thing he's found not guilty, and then he's out again. He's committing violence again. So I mean, I think the mens rea. I think I'm just trying to think back. I think it was 8 or 9. After I don't know how old the child was, but I mean, if and he had a history. So if you're able to do that sort of thing, so there's something wrong. That person should not be in society, or that individual, that child.
I was watching a current affairs last night, just a replay of it, and there was this guy on the Sunshine Coast. Anyway, he has a 7-Eleven has a IGA there, and he saw a kid trying to nick something, and he told him to get out of the shop, which is a fair thing to do. No violence, didn't call the police, nothing would have happened anyway, but nothing like that. He went out to make sure he'd gone away, and he was set upon by, I think, 5 or 7 teens between 14 and 17. And one guy, he had a knife in his hand. He truly looked no older than 13 or 14. And he, along with the others, were just laying into this poor bloke that was just trying to mind his business and look after his shop. And then the locals were saying that it's becoming a very dangerous area. How do we stop that? I mean, is it first of all parenting, then the courts? Because there's no use of cop arresting someone and then they're out, and as you mentioned, very shortly doing the same thing all over again, but worse. They sort of know that they're untouchable, almost Teflon, and it just seems like it's spiraling out of control. How do we stop this from happening? What's the first thing? Because many people say, oh, we've got to have, and these are all just normal looking kids, but we need to have talk to them and put them in mothballs and find out why they're doing it. I sort of think the old days of a foot up the backside or a box in the ears or something like that. If you want to act like a man, we're going to treat you like a man, and then you realise that your limitations are that you're a boy. So how would you do it?
Well, I think the answer is more. There's not enough police, more policing, and allowing the police to do their job. We can see what's happened in the States, Washington, where the National Guard has got in there. They're saying places that were full of drug addicts, fentanyl being sold, and crime, whatever, it's quiet, they've all gone. So the presence, having a presence is a deterrent. It's like a speed camera. If you've got a fixed speed, everyone slows down because they know they're going to get booked. If you see police, that's a deterrent. And unfortunately, at the moment, there's no deterrent anywhere. There's no deterrent in Victoria. There's no deterrent anywhere. And police, unfortunately, I think, like I said, are tied up with other higher priorities, DVs being one of them. And the courts are full of those as well. So I think that's a starting point. Rather than buying those Visi bins or whatever, how about getting more police? And the other problem is trying to get more police, because after the last 5 years, a lot of people don't want to go into that profession because a lot of people want to go in and serve the public, and a lot of police left because they didn't like what was being done, and a lot of police who've since left haven't gone back. So you really need to build the reputation of the police. You need the social cohesion. We need to do something with our schooling system, because they're not being taught the right things. They're coming out not being able to read or write. So if you've got no future, well, what do you do? Also, the parenting. There's a lot of things we've got to do, but unfortunately, those things aren't being done. Politicians are more interested in sending money overseas and going overseas and having a good time and making it look like they're a leader when Australia's burning. We've seen what's happened up in the Northern Territory. The same sort of issues there. They've got no hope and whatever. And there's obviously alcohol involved there and other issues, but that's the drugs are an issue as well, and the parenting. But we need a police presence. Would be a massive police preference and increase would be a start. Just being out there would be a start, and then from then on, and that would mean a complete turnaround as to the ideology that's being pushed on us now. And unfortunately, I can't see that on the horizon as yet. But it's going to have to get to a point where it's going to have to happen. Otherwise, we're just going to end up, it's going to end up being issues everywhere. This is just issues. It's like anything that eventually when they're finished in one area, they come across to another area. So there's a lot of issues in housing. The affordability. We're putting people in all together, so we're creating this mix as well, where there's the potential for ghettos and for this crime and no-go zones. We've seen it in Europe. We don't want it to get to that point here. So we really need some leaders, some politicians with vision and whatever, to actually be bold and do what needs to be done, except about worrying the next election, about whether they're going to get in at the next election or whatever, or their political life after they leave Parliament or whatever. And we need the bureaucrats to get on board as well. But it's going to take a big, massive change. It's taken decades to get here. It started with Whitlam. So it's going to take 75. It's going to take that long to turn around. It's a generational thing. And it's not looking good at the moment, unfortunately.
No, it's very, very sad, and I think I used to always think Australia, it was a pretty free and easy country. I mean, you might have had a bit of a stoush after a few drinks at the pub, but you made up and you got on with it. And, they're often criticised, which I would criticise, she'll be right, mate. Actually, a bit of that wouldn't go astray at the moment. She'll be right, mate, because at the moment she won't be right. And finally, because we had so many things to talk about, we'll do this next time. But as an ex-policeman, what effect does it have on the police force or those individuals when they do all they can to carry out their job, to protect and serve, and to see after all that they've done, the courts letting those people out again to just do the same thing again and again? How long does it take to break the spirit of that particular person?
I think it would. I don't know how long it would take, because when I was operating, it was a lot different. We were less people in this country, and I was operating at a Commonwealth level where we were dealing with we're dealing with different. We're doing people importing drugs or fraud or whatever. So you're dealing with a different calibre and long-term investigations most of the time. Yeah, but it would wear you down. It's no different to going to road accidents all the time. Eventually, seeing people, and that sort of seeing those scenes, that would get to you. So eventually, it would wear you down, and it might get to the point where you're numb from it all, and you do your job, and you're not expecting a result, and and it probably leads to other issues within the police where they resign, or they get they use alcohol, they use something else for a release where, and it's not good either. It's not good for morale. And it's not good for society, because police, at the end of the day, we're all part of society. We should all be working together cohesively to make this a better place, and to keep it a better place. And unfortunately, over time, slowly, unfortunately, the public has, the youth have got no respect for police. They've got no respect for their parents. They don't listen to the parents, allowed to roam. We see the stories all the time, 13-year-olds driving down a motorway at 200 kilometres an hour. I mean, what at 2 a.m. and what are they doing out at 2 a.m. in the morning? Well, there's thousands and thousands of examples over the years, and unfortunately, it's not a good thing. So eventually, I think you become numb to it, or you accept it, or you look for an outlet, or you resign and you go on to something else. But either way, it's not good for morale, and it's not good for society.
That's right. I think the key word there is respect. Harry Hatzikalimnios, thank you very much for your time. Do you do anything socially online? I mean, I don't mean to go out and party, but if somebody wanted to find out more about you, is there a way?
I'm on X. My name, Harry Hatzikalimnios. I'm on Facebook, and I'm also on Telegram. If they send me a request, it's closed, so I just post stuff there. You can't comment, but I just try and post things there that I think are relevant, and just keep people aware of what's going on. Yeah, I'm also on Instagram.
If I was going to be arrested, I'd prefer it was you. You're a good bloke. I
don't know about that, but we all try. I mean, we're all human, and
we are.
I think if people remembered that and had a bit of respect for each other, this place would be better. I think
it should be a rewarding job, but to be a copper these days, I got to tell you, not for all the money in China. I'd rather eat glass. Harry, thank you very much for this. Appreciate it. This is The World Today.
When you come with Mercy Ships, you get spoiled for the ordinary. You get an amazing opportunity to serve alongside incredible people from all different nations, all different backgrounds, and you get to serve amazing people in the countries that we serve in. And your life will be changed. You will never go back to what you were before. I think it's an incredible experience.
In sub-Saharan Africa, 93% of the population can't access safe, timely, and affordable surgical care. For many, hope and healing seems out of reach. Mercy Ships is here to change that narrative. Our volunteer crew delivers life-changing surgical care and education straight to those who need it most on board our fleet of hospital ships. And it's all made possible by people just like you.
Mercy Ships has changed me in the way of seeing how God redeems pain and suffering and turns it to joy in the lives of our patients and in our own lives. I came to volunteer and to give of myself, but really somehow I'm walking away with more than I could have ever hoped to receive.
The beating heart of each hospital ship is its own vibrant and unique volunteer community, made up of individuals bringing their own diverse skills, languages, and cultures, all in pursuit of one life-saving mission.
Mercyship is not just about the work, it is also about the love and caring that people have for one another. The moment you board the ship, you become an instrument in God's heart.
While surgeons and medical crew bring hope and healing in the operating rooms and wards, the need for volunteers goes far beyond the hospital. Mariners, engineers, cooks, plumbers, teachers, administrative professionals, and so much more. No matter your skill set, if you want to use your time and talent to change lives while experiencing life-changing transformation for yourself, then you're exactly the kind of person we're looking for on board.
It's a unique opportunity to use your skills, talents, and gift to help others in need. It's a chance to make a real difference in the world.
When you come in here and instead of numbers, you see real people and you see their faces and hear their stories, everything changes. In here, you grow as a person and as a professional. After Mercy Ships, you can just go back home and keep being the same person you were. In here, you find purpose.
Our purpose is a mission 2,000 years in the making, to love and serve one another as Jesus Christ did. Mercy Ships is committed to partnering with Africa to make a lasting difference. And it takes a community of passionate and daring people like you to make it happen. Come experience it all for yourself and find your place on board today, as together we show how hope is on the horizon.
We're today's News Talk, the world today.
As Alan Moran in the background is choking to death, it's always good sound effects and something Monty Python or Benny Hill would have loved enormously. Before we get into Alan, and as he has CPR, let me just go through a few things here. From the Institute of Public Affairs in regards to last week's Real Productivity Roundtable. This was a post at the IPA on X. Australia used to have the most resilient economy in the world, but not today. Red tape, taxes, and net zero is destroying hope for productivity growth. And the federal government's secret meetings will not solve this crisis. Saxon Davidson on the Real Productivity Roundtable. We also have from Matt Canavan, Senator Matt Canavan, who's a very good senator, by the way. Over the past 20 years, only two Aussie industries have seen their labour productivity fall, mining and energy. Yet at the Productivity Summit, the mining industry has not been invited, and the government won't talk about energy prices anymore. And also, he writes, the simple takeaway from today's Real Productivity Roundtable is that to make the Australian economy bigger, we need the government to be smaller. Dr. Alan Moran is Principal of Regulation Economics. Alan, I presume that you've had your oxygen, the ambulance has been there. The idea of making the government smaller, did you see a bunch of pigs fly by, or is it just me?
Well, yeah, they seem to be saying the opposite from making it smaller. There are a lot of people talking about more taxation. A lot of people talking about how can we essentially raid the superannuation funds in some way and direct them to the areas where the government wants, not where they might make more money. I think one is struck from that productivity summit about the differences from that and the one which was kind of the blueprint for such summits. This was the one which Hawke and Keating ran in the 1980s. I mean, if anybody can recall there or would read about it, basically what they had was an agenda. They said, look, we've had this terrible problem. We've had massive increase in wages over the past few years. It's not been accompanied by increased production. So the economy is totally out of kilter, unemployment's rising and all that. So what we've got to do is somehow get productivity up. And they sort of came to an accord with the unions, and they sort of agreed, well, we'll agree to improve productivity at the factory level all along the lines in various tranches. and the outcome of that will be, higher living standards, higher wages. But instead of putting those wages into pay packets directly, we'll put them into superannuation for the future. So you got a kind of win-win outcome there. You got an agreement to increase productivity at the labour force level, and B, an increase in funding, which could then go into investment and further augmenting the effects of increased productivity. But really, we've got the opposite now. We have the unions given more powers to actually reduce levels of productivity. We're talking about more and more people having obligations even to have 2 or 3 days a week working from home. Nothing wrong with working from home. A lot of people do, but only those. As a right, you basically then are going to get a lot of people who are skiving off, and essentially we've been going the opposite way. And it's not surprising that the outcome of the deliberations was really very little. I mean, the only things I can see in terms of lower regulation were two aspects. One is on housing, and they were saying, okay, we're going to defer, if you like, not actually cancel the sorts of onerous requirements we're placing on house owners for environmental issues, access to for people who with infirmities, and a whole lot of other things, all of which add to the cost of a house. We're going to defer those for a few years. Okay, well and good. And then they basically said, well, and a great area of deregulation, we're going to stop people having the rights to prevent or to oppose new renewable energy assets and the transmission lines going over their property. Well, basically, and I think you've alluded to this already, more renewable energy means higher costs, lower productivity, a threat to major industries, and it's one of the reasons why the requirements that we put renewable energy in overall. It's one of the reasons why the economy is now flagging. And I noticed actually even today, just the last couple of hours, we've had the inflation figures come out, and lo and behold, energy prices went up 13% over the last year. I mean, is anybody really surprised by this? I'm not. And it's it's the antidote for a better productivity and a higher standard of living, which the government is proposing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, because we all know how, if you want to get into small business in Australia, for those watching out of Australia, how you get into small business in Australia is, first of all, start off with a big one. So, but I'm just thinking here, which sectors are doing well and which sectors are failing at the moment in Australia?
Well, the ones that are doing well are the government sectors. Basically, public servants are pretty thriving, and there's more and more of them. I think 82% of the new jobs were in the public sector over recent years, and those are the very sectors where you want fewer, because there are some public sectors which are necessary, but a great many of them are unnecessary and badly run. They don't have that same sort of profit motive which private sector has, which automatically engenders efficiency. If you can't make a buck out of it, then you've got to find ways of doing something different, or reducing the amount of resources involved in things, and you've got to look at different venues for your activities. Well, that's not really those disciplines aren't there in the public sector, so we get weighed down more and more by more and more public servants. We can actually over the years, Australia's done quite well in terms of getting higher living standards, very well. But we had these lapsed periods, and we're in one right now where we go backwards, and we've gone backwards 5% or something in our living standards the last 3 or 4 years. And coincidentally, we've seen a nation which has got a great deal of similarities to Australia, which is Argentina, going in the opposite direction. There we have the government has slashed regulations, slashed the number of public servants, and suddenly it's the fastest growing economy in the world.
That's amazing. Talking about successes in Australia, let's talk about, actually it's not a success, housing. Can we go through some of the failures here and how to fix it? Because, I mean, on the Gold Coast, which we're living the dream, maybe not, but to buy a one-bedroom apartment on the Gold Coast is about $1 million now. That is just ridiculous, and yet, because it does show you there's the demand is way outdoing the supply, and then they bring in, they want to increase immigration and they want to increase student activity and stuff like that. It's not going to do much for the price of that one-bedroom apartment, which would be probably 1.2 in about a year or two's time. How do we fix this, and what are the other abysmal failures that just stand out?
Well, I think in the case of housing, we've got to see, it starts off with the planning arrangements. We've got very restricted planning arrangements. In Australia, we've got more land per capita, almost by definition, than anywhere in the world. And yet the cost of a block of land, which is approved for housing or development for housing, is $600,000 per house. That's for a house. It's difficult to measure it in terms of apartments, that should be a sixth of that, really, in terms of, but it's because we have these onerous planning requirements, the amount of land being available for housing, not the amount of land itself, is being squeezed. So you've got a big start there, a massive increase. Then you augment it by various requirements on the builders in terms of, making it environmentally and energy efficient and requiring various things for disabled and a whole lot of other aspects in terms of the building, which also adds costs. Then you've actually got what you're talking about, as it's mentioned already, the increased immigration, and that augments it all. That adds to it. You can have high levels of immigration and low costs of housing. We've had that in the past in Australia, and in fact, in as many cities like in Texas, for example, where they've got high immigration and quite low housing costs. You can have that, but you can't have that if you're going to have these onerous requirements on planning and building specifications, not in terms of safety specifications, but in terms of the ancillary matters which are treasured by many of the politicians, the trendy politicians, in terms of the environmental and energy saving aspects, all of which add costs, which sometimes people would pay for them, but they shouldn't be required to pay for them from their own money. This is what we've built up. We've built up this massive regulations, which is probably causing more than a doubling of the price of houses from what it should be.
I find it just incredible, especially with immigration. And if you look at AI, and they're moving it when it used to be the factories have become automated. Well, everything is becoming automated, which would infer that there will be less work around because not everyone wants to get into their own business or do something like that. So if you have that, and then you have an increase in immigration, which used to be there to plug those holes in on the industrial side or on the land, if you have this increase in immigration and those industries aren't there, what do we do? I mean, are we creating this cauldron of boiling unemployment?
Sure. I mean, the thing is that immigration should be there for the benefit of the people in the country, and there's no point in having immigrants in who are not going to add to our productivity. There's still less point in having immigrants, and we seem to have a lot of those who are very alien to our basic principles, and cause a lot of disturbances. Some in terms of sometimes criminal disturbances as well. So immigration should be there for the benefit of the country, broadly speaking. Nothing wrong with taking people who are a certain number of people who are distressed from overseas, and we kind of have a duty to do some of that, but not huge numbers of it. And basically it has to be capped in some way. I don't know. We seem to have lost any idea about how to do that, and we don't really have the same sort of goals of immigration which we had in, say, the post 1945 period, when we needed people for, as you said, for specific skills. We needed to populate the country anyway, and it was an extremely successful level of immigration especially from Europe, and later on from uh, the East, from Asia. But we do need to ensure that the immigrants are tied to our kind of overall ethos, if you like, and are likely to bring skills. If they don't have the skills already, learn the skills to actually be contributors.
Yeah, I see that in Victoria. You have a new industry there. It's called, I was going to say fleecing, but I won't do that because that's probably not right to say that, and it's lack of respect. But it is fleecing. I look at those bins, the machete bins, and if you look at around the Salvos and those places which have a bin that you put your clothes in, around South Melbourne they have them there, and you put all your clothes in there and you close it, and that holds those clothes until they go back there and pick it up and they wash them, and they either resell them, make money for the homeless, or give them back to the community. So that's what, to me, a bin would be for putting machetes in. Now, this machete bin, think about it. It's basically a big bin. You drop a machete in there, and that's it. Can you, because you're you know your sums, and if this is a rort or not, can you tell me, in your humble opinion, and don't forget the Dan Andrews factor because of his connection with Visy, do you think Visy got a good deal from the government when they charged $325,000 for a bin? But what do you think Bunnings are thinking about at the moment?
I don't know. Nobody can answer that question of yours because nobody has seen the tenders. I mean,
Tenders?
basically,
There is none. There be no tenders.
basically, when the government buys things, the only way it is honest in doing so is it puts it out for tenders and asks people, and people bid for them, and the one who gives the best products wins. But I haven't seen those tenders for those bins, and as you say, $300,000 for a simple looking. It must have some incredible technology inside it, if in fact it's suggested.
I would imagine that instead of hearing the clothes go, you'd hear clunk,
clunk,
clunk, clunk.
Well, you would. I mean, and actually, it'd be interesting to see how many clunks there've been. I mean, I don't know. Are people actually lining up? I've not seen any lining up and throwing their machetes in these bins. I really can't think that that's going to be possible. So it's just another. It's just another fad. The government, finds it's in a crisis. It finds that the latest things that people get attacked with machetes. So we're going to have bins so you can all voluntarily surrender your weapons, and you'll be all okay.
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly.
I mean, and you see as someone said on a clip we played earlier, oh, I'm going to rob the house. Oh, rob the house. Oh, I need to feel better. Let me go to a bin and drop my machete in there.
Yeah,
it doesn't work that way. I mean, and you're a Victoria. How is the Garden State? What is it called now? The Machete State or the Bin State?
And the sort of gang of looters state as well. I noticed that the concerted efforts in terms of taking some money from Coles and IGA, etc., is basically focused here in Victoria, and especially in Melbourne, actually, where you have gangs coming in, robbing the stores, terrorising the hapless store assistants and things, and running off. It's just, around the areas now, you see an awful lot more security guards standing by, the liquor stores and the.
Have you seen them?
Well, there's an awful lot of them around there.
Yeah, but look at them. Would you feel secure with them? I wouldn't.
But they hopefully I mean, some of them are pretty formidable looking characters, and hopefully they do deter a bit. Well, hopefully they will deter a bit, but it's apparently not working at the present time because we are getting colossal numbers of these concerted store assaults from very young people, and it terrorizes the customers, terrorizes the staff, and actually does cost us all in the end, both in terms of because the costs of the thieves' goods has to be accounted for by the customers, and also the protection, the increased security that's there. Somebody's got to pay for it.
Big month coming up in Victoria too. It's going to add some money to the coffers there. You're a Collingwood supporter, am I right?
Occasionally, and St Kilda though.
Well,
Basically.
hey, St Kilda now. Have we done well in the draft? I mean, this is where Jen at the moment should be like, "What the hell is he talking about this for?" But did we do well in that draft? But we got I call him Cronkite, but it's De Koning. Got fellow Ryan from Perth, and we got who else? We got a couple of other guys. Naz stayed with us, and a few other guys. Got Aaliyah from the Greater Western Sydney. He's coming over. I mean, you will have to remain always a St Kilda supporter.
I think the thing about St Kilda is it's always been the same. It's always looked pretty good.
That's right, until the next year.
90, 80 years almost, 70 years. I mean, it always looks good, and occasionally they have a flash and they do pretty well, but really, it's the Cinderella club of the league. I'm afraid of the bladder.
No, I'm a footy tragic. Truly, I watch all the games, and you're part-time Collingwood, so you hedge your bets. I mean, it's been a bit lopsided of late, but I see Collingwood, besides being all out on parole, that's an old one. But anyway, and the supporters collectively, getting their teeth all, they have one set of teeth for the whole bunch of fans. But I think Collingwood might do well too. I think they deserve to do better.
One of the things, I did some stuff on it. Somebody itemized who all the politicians supported, and they went through the clubs. And in fact, it turned out that the majority of Liberal politicians were Collingwood supporters, which was the opposite of what it traditionally would be, where the Liberals would have been Carlton, I guess, and Labour would have been Collingwood. But Labour were shifting to Western Bulldogs and various others. So interestingly, there's the sort of characteristics of the support group changes over time, and Collingwood have become, the sort of high meritocracy type people rather than the toothless ones that you and I characterise them as.
I know. I thought I would have got a call from you. You laughed at me when we beat Melbourne, we came back in the all-time great comeback in AFL history. But anyway, I've got to stop this because I'm waiting for my producer to lunge through the studio doors, threatening to kill me if I don't shut up. Alan Moran, it's always a pleasure talking to you about football and also ugly things about reality, such as the state of Victoria, the state of Australia. And I think we have some interesting times. I do rue the days or miss the days when they used to say smaller government needs to be in your life. And at the moment, I can't see that happening. I think everybody likes the government to hand out something, and that always comes with a cost. Alan Moran from Principal of Regulation Economics. Somebody wants to be involved in your discussions. How do they do that?
Well, I've got the website regulationeconomics.com. I'm very much involved in various elements of social media, X and Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. So you can find me on there.
And I'll also be seeing you on the donors page for St Kilda, I presume. Not.
I don't think so. No. I'll let them find their own level.
Thank you very much. They'll just go and rob a bank. Alan Moran, thank you very much for your time. This is The World Today.